The silent vanguard. The skies above Proxima Delta glowed an ominous red as the Vraxian warships descended through the atmosphere. Their hulls, obsidian black and lined with pulse cannons, cast long shadows over the mining colony below. 17 ships in total, each one larger than the tallest structure on the settlement. A display of force that needed no translation. For 3 generations, the humans of Proxima Delta had worked this harsh world, extracting the rare quantum-stabilizing minerals that powered faster than light travel. Their colony was small, just over 12,000 souls, but strategic. They were also painfully isolated, positioned at the very edge of human-controlled space, a full 27 light days from the nearest military outpost. Colony Administrator Darian Keene stood on the observation deck of the colony's central hub, his weathered face illuminated by emergency lighting. The colonists had gone to ground, retreating into the subterranean shelters built into the planet's cavernous interior. A contingency they had drilled for, but never truly expected to need. "Tell me they've received our distress call," Keene said, not taking his eyes off the invading fleet. Communications Officer Maya Lin shook her head. "The quantum relay is functioning." "Sir," the message was sent. But she hesitated. At this distance, even with faster-than-light communications, help would take at least 2 weeks to arrive, if they decide to come at all. Keene's jaw tightened. Proxima Delta had always been a calculated risk, rich in resources but far beyond any reasonable response time for assistance. The Earth Confederation had established the colony knowing full well that, in a crisis, these people would be on their own. "We have the automated defense platforms," Security Chief Thomas offered, though his tone lacked conviction. "And the militia." "Against that," Keene nodded toward the view screen. "Those aren't raiders or pirates. That's a conquest fleet. The largest of the Vraxian vessels, easily 3 kilometers from bow to stern, had taken position directly above the colony center. Its massive silhouette blocked out the stars, an artificial eclipse that seemed to swallow hope itself. "They're broadcasting, sir," Lin reported. "All frequencies." Keene straightened his shoulders. "Put it through." The view screen flickered, revealing a Vraxian war commander. The alien's exoskeletal face featured 6 glowing eyes arranged in a hexagonal pattern, and its voice resonated with a harmonic quality that human vocal cords could never produce. "People of the human encroachment." The translation matrix converted the alien speech. "This world lies within the expanding territories of the Vraxian Dominion. Your presence is unauthorized. Your extraction activities are theft against our sovereignty." Keene stepped forward. "This colony was established under the Earth Confederation Charter off. Your Confederation's claims are irrelevant." The war commander interrupted. "You have 1 planetary rotation to surrender control of all mining operations and submit to Vraxian authority. Those who comply will be permitted to continue operations under our supervision. Those who resist will be eliminated." The transmission cut off abruptly. "1 day," Lin whispered. "They're giving us 1 day before they attack." Keene's fingers drummed against the console. "How long would it take to evacuate the colony?" "With the ships we have," Thomas calculated quickly. 6 months, minimum. And that's assuming the Vraxians would let us leave. "They won't," Keene said grimly. "They want the mines and the refineries intact. They don't care about the people who run them." "So we fight," Thomas declared, his hand resting on his sidearm. Keene looked at him sharply. "With what?" "Drilling equipment and service pistols. We be slaughtered. Then we surrender," Lin suggested, her voice small. "No." Keene's response was immediate and firm. "I've seen what happens to colonies that surrender to expansionist powers. Within a generation, we be worked to death or assimilated beyond recognition." "Then what's the alternative?" Thomas demanded. "You just said we can't fight." Keene turned back to the view screen, studying the arrangement of the Vraxian fleet. "We can't win." "No, but we can buy time." "Time for what?" Lin asked. "You said it yourself. Help is at least 2 weeks away, if it comes at all. Then we make those 2 weeks count, Keen replied, his face set with determination. Thomas, activate all defensive platforms. Lynn, send another quantum relay message, Priority Alpha, direct to Earth Command. Tell them. He paused, weighing his words carefully. Tell them Proxima Delta invokes Protocol Thermopylae. Both officers stared at him in shock. Sir, Thomas began hesitantly, Protocol Thermopylae hasn't been used since the Europa conflict. I know, Keen finished for him. It means we're committing to a defense we know we can't win, in exchange for guaranteed intervention. His eyes hardened. It also means Earth Command can't ignore us, no matter how far away we are. Lynn's fingers flew over her console. Message sent, sir. Now, Keen continued, we need to reorganize our people. Anyone with military experience, anyone who can hold a weapon. I want them ready. We're not trying to defeat that fleet. We just need to hold out long enough to make the sacrifice worth it. As Keen's orders went out across the colony, the Vraxian ships began to deploy smaller craft, dropships and fighters, preparing for the ground assault they assumed would be a simple operation. They had conquered dozens of outlying colonies belonging to various species, and none had offered more than token resistance before capitulating. They expected Proxima Delta to be no different. They were wrong. 23 light-years away, aboard the Earth Confederation stealth destroyer Phantom Edge, Captain Alina Reyes sat bolt upright in her quarters as the emergency alert pierced through the ship's night cycle. Captain to the bridge, the AI's calm voice announced. Priority Alpha communication received. Reyes was moving before the announcement finished, pulling on her uniform as she headed for the door. The Phantom Edge was running silent, part of a classified reconnaissance mission along the border of the Vraxian Dominion's expanding territory. Their orders had been explicit. Observe, document, but do not engage under any circumstances. By the time she reached the bridge, her XO, Commander Jackson, had already brought the ship to full alert status. Report, she demanded, dropping into the captain's chair. Quantum relay message from Proxima Delta. Jackson replied, his face grim. They've invoked Protocol Thermopylae. Reyes felt her blood run cold. Confirmed. Authentication checks out. They're under attack by a Vraxian fleet. 17 vessels, including what appears to be a Sovereign-class command ship. Damn. Reyes leaned forward, studying the tactical display. They don't stand a chance. No, ma'am. Colony defenses might hold out for 3 days at most. Reyes drummed her fingers on the armrest. Response time from the nearest battle group. 11th Fleet could reach them in 16 days at maximum burn. Too long. Reyes shook her head. They'll be wiped out by then. Jackson hesitated. Captain, our orders specifically prohibit engagement with Vraxian forces, and we're just one ship. One ship they don't know exists. Reyes corrected him. She stood, pacing the bridge as she thought. Protocol Thermopylae supersedes our standing orders, Commander. We're now obligated to render assistance. But what can we do against 17 warships? Jackson pressed. Even with our stealth systems and advanced weaponry, we're outgunned. A slow smile spread across Reyes' face, the kind of smile that had made her notorious among both allies and enemies. Who said anything about engaging them directly? Commander, plot a course for the Hephaestus station. Maximum speed. Jackson blinked in surprise. The weapons testing facility. That's 7 days in the wrong direction. We're not going for weapons, Reyes explained. We're going for the prototype. Understanding dawned on Jackson's face. The quantum mirage projector. But it's not field tested yet. It's about to be. Reyes returned to her chair. And contact Admiral Wei. Tell him to mobilize everything he can spare, but to do it quietly. No fleet movements that would show up on long-range scanners. You're thinking of the Ghost Protocol? Jackson asked, his voice hushed. Reyes nodded. The Vraxians think they're attacking an isolated colony with no hope of reinforcement. Let's keep them thinking that. right until the moment we spring the trap. As the Phantom Edge altered course, accelerating to faster-than-light speeds, Reyes stared out at the star-streaked view screen. The Vraxians had made a critical mistake. They had chosen a colony that appeared vulnerable, but they had failed to understand a fundamental truth about humanity. No human was ever truly alone, and Earth never abandoned its own. Back on Proxima Delta, the first wave of Vraxian dropships had breached the atmosphere. The colony's automated defense platforms fired in coordinated salvos, their railguns accelerating projectiles to devastating speeds. 3 dropships erupted in flames, spiraling down to crash among the rocky outcroppings that surrounded the mining complex. But there were dozens more, and the orbital warships had begun targeting the defense platforms with precision strikes. One by one, the colony's outer defenses were being systematically eliminated. Inside the central hub, Keen directed the defense as best he could. The miners and technicians who formed the colony's hastily assembled militia had taken positions in the reinforced structures and natural cave systems that housed the most critical infrastructure. "They're deploying ground forces," Thomas reported, his voice tense. "At least 300 shock troops in the first wave." Keen nodded grimly. "Have our people fall back to the secondary positions. Trigger the minefield as soon as the main force enters the outer perimeter." "What about the primary refineries?" Lin asked. "If we fall back, they'll take them." "Let them," Keen replied. "Security Chief, did you implement the measures we discussed?" Thomas smiled thinly. "Every critical system has been rigged. They can take the facilities, but using them is another matter entirely." Outside, the first Vraxian ground troops had made landfall. 8 feet tall and encased in powered exoskeletons, they moved with mechanical precision, securing the landing zone and establishing a perimeter. Their helmet sensors glowed an eerie blue in the red-tinged daylight as they advanced toward the seemingly defenseless colony buildings. The Vraxian war commander, observing from the safety of the command ship, felt a surge of satisfaction. The human resistance was even weaker than anticipated. At this rate, they would secure the entire operation within hours, not days. "Begin deploying the processing crews," he ordered. "I want the mines operational under our control by the end of the planetary cycle." His sub-commander hesitated. "War Commander, our ground forces report that the humans appear to be retreating into the subsurface installations." "Let them hide." The war commander dismissed the concern with a wave of his armored claw. "Once we control their food and air supply, they will emerge and submit." Neither of them noticed the momentary distortion in space approximately 12 million kilometers from Proxima Delta. A ripple in the fabric of reality as a stealth ship dropped briefly out of FTL, deployed a small device, and vanished again before any sensors could detect its presence. The device, no larger than a human fist, activated silently. It began broadcasting a signal, not to the colony or the Vraxian fleet, but outward into the seemingly empty void of space beyond the system's edge. The signal contained just 3 words: "The stage is set." Miles beneath the colony's surface, in a hidden command center that didn't appear on any official schematics, Administrator Keen received a message on a secure channel that only he knew existed. The message was equally brief. "Hold fast. 7 days." For the first time since the Vraxian ships had appeared in the sky, Keen allowed himself a small, fierce smile. He had never truly expected to die here, despite what he had told his officers, because he had always known something that neither they nor the Vraxians could possibly suspect. Proxima Delta had never been as isolated as it appeared to be. The Reckoning Storm. 6 days after the initial Vraxian attack, Proxima Delta was barely holding on. The colony's main facilities had fallen to the invaders, forcing the defenders to retreat deeper into the network of natural caverns that honeycombed the planet's crust. What had begun as an organized resistance had devolved into guerrilla warfare, with small teams of colonists striking from hidden passages before disappearing again into the labyrinthine underground. In the Vraxian command ship hovering above the settlement, War Commander Krull stalked the bridge, his armored exoskeleton clicking against the metallic floor with each agitated step. "How is it possible," he demanded, "that 12,000 miners and technicians continue to elude the most elite forces of the Vraxian Dominion?" Sub-Commander Vex stood rigidly at attention. "The humans appear to have extensive knowledge of the subterranean geography, War Commander, and they have implemented various countermeasures in the mining facilities. Our engineers report that critical systems have been sabotaged in ways that are ingeniously difficult to repair." Krull made a harsh clicking sound, the Vraxian equivalent of a derisive snort. "They delay the inevitable. The refining equipment may be damaged, but the mineral deposits remain. Once we eliminate the remaining resistance, we can bring in our own processing technology." "Yes, War Commander," Vex acknowledged. "However, I recommend we request additional ground forces. The tunnel's air." "We will not request reinforcements to subdue a mining colony," Krull interrupted sharply. "The Dominion Council would view it as incompetence. No, we will simply change our approach." He turned to the tactical display, studying the layout of the settlement. "Seal all known entrances to the subsurface network. Then deploy atmospheric converters at each location." Vex's 6 eyes widened slightly. "You intend to poison the air supply." "We will not request reinforcements to subdue a mining colony," Krull interrupted sharply. "The Dominion Council would view it as incompetence. No, we will simply change our approach." He turned to the tactical display, studying the layout of the settlement. "Seal all known entrances to the subsurface network. Then deploy atmospheric converters at each location." Vex's 6 eyes widened slightly. "You intend to poison the air supply." "I intend to fill their hiding places with neuroparalytic gas," Krull corrected. "Lethal to humans, but it dissipates within days and leaves no residue that would contaminate the minerals. They will either emerge and surrender, or they will die where they hide." "It shall be done, War Commander." As Vex moved to implement the orders, a sensor officer suddenly straightened at his station. "War Commander, I am detecting an anomaly." Krull turned impatiently. "What kind of anomaly?" "A gravitational disturbance at the system's edge," the officer reported, manipulating controls to enhance the readings. "It appears consistent with a localized spatial disruption, possibly from a cloaked vessel." "Impossible," Krull dismissed. "Our intelligence confirms that human stealth technology cannot evade our gravimetric sensors. And even if they manage to send a ship, one vessel poses no threat to this fleet." The sensor officer hesitated. "The disruption pattern is unusual, War Commander. It does not match known signatures." "Dispatch a scout vessel to investigate," Krull ordered, returning his attention to the colony assault plans. "But maintain our primary focus on securing the mining operation." The scout ship, a sleek, predatory craft designed for reconnaissance and light combat, detached from the main fleet and accelerated toward the disturbance. As it approached the coordinates, its sensors detected nothing out of the ordinary, just empty space against the backdrop of distant stars. The scout ship's commander was preparing to report a false alarm when space itself seemed to shudder. Where there had been nothing, suddenly there was something. A massive distortion that bloomed like a deadly flower. The Vraxian crew had just enough time to register what they were seeing before their vessel was caught in the shockwave of an emerging armada. Earth ships. Dozens of them. Not the bulky utilitarian transports or outdated frigates that Vraxian intelligence had documented, but sleek, angular warships that pulsed with blue-white energy along their hulls. At their center, a massive vessel unlike anything in the Vraxian database, the ECS Thunderhead, flagship of the Earth Confederation's legendary 7th Fleet. On its bridge stood Admiral Wei Linhao, a small, unassuming man whose tactical brilliance had earned him the nickname the Quiet Storm among his peers. He surveyed the tactical display with calm, assessing eyes. "Status of the quantum mirage?" he asked, his voice soft, but carrying the unmistakable weight of command. "Functioning perfectly, Admiral." his tactical officer reported. From the Vraxian perspective, we've just appeared out of nowhere. Their scout vessel is transmitting a warning signal to the main fleet. Let them, Wei replied. Captain Reyes, status of your team. From a secondary display, Alina Reyes' face appeared. She was no longer aboard the Phantom Edge. That ship was now under her XO's command. Instead, she had transferred to lead a specialized strike team aboard one of the fleet's most advanced infiltration vessels. Strike Team Alpha is in position, Admiral, she reported. Ready to deploy on your mark. We nodded once. The colony administrator confirms their defensive measures can hold for another 12 hours. That gives us our window. He turned to his communications officer. Open a channel to the Vraxian command ship. Around Proxima Delta, the Vraxian fleet had been thrown into disarray by the scout ship's frantic warnings. War Commander Krull stared in disbelief at the tactical display as it updated to show the human fleet, a force that dwarfed his own in both numbers and apparent technological sophistication. How? He demanded of no one in particular. Where did they come from? Our intelligence indicated Earth could not possibly respond in less than 2 weeks. Before any of his officers could offer theories, the communication system chimed with an incoming transmission. Put it through, Krull ordered, gathering his composure. The view screen activated to show a human male with East Asian features, wearing the formal uniform of an Earth Confederation admiral. Despite the gravity of the situation, the human's expression was serene, almost contemplative. War Commander. Admiral Wei greeted him with a slight nod. I am Admiral Wei Linhao of the Earth Confederation. You have invaded a sovereign human colony and attacked our citizens. I am here to request your immediate withdrawal from this system. Krull bristled at the human's calm demeanor. You have no authority here, Admiral. Proxima Delta lies within territory claimed by the Vraxian Dominion. A claim made after our colony was established, Wei countered smoothly. But I'm not here to debate galactic politics, War Commander. I'm here to offer you a choice. Withdraw your forces now, or face the consequences of your aggression. Despite his unease at the unexpected arrival of the human fleet, Krull maintained his defiant posture. The Vraxian Dominion does not respond to threats, human. Perhaps you have numbers, but our ships are battle-tested. Your species has not faced true war in generations. Do you really believe your merchants and diplomats can stand against warriors? A ghost of a smile touched Wei's lips. An interesting assumption. War Commander, allow me to educate you. He glanced off-screen briefly, then returned his gaze to Krull. In precisely 30 seconds, your fleet's primary communications relay will experience difficulties. Consider it a demonstration. Krull sneered. Your psychological tactics are as primitive as... His dismissal was cut short by a sudden alarm. On the tactical display, one of the smaller Vraxian vessels, positioned at the fleet's edge and responsible for coordinating long-range communications, erupted in a series of small, precise explosions. Not enough to destroy the ship, but perfectly targeted to disable its communication arrays and propulsion systems. What happened? Krull demanded. Unknown, War Commander, his tactical officer responded, frantically checking readings. There was no weapons fire from the human fleet, no missiles, no energy signatures, nothing our sensors could detect. On the view screen, Admiral Wei remained impassively calm. That was a surgical strike from one of our infiltration teams. They boarded your vessel 20 minutes ago, while we were having this conversation. Impossible. Krull slammed an armored claw down on his command console. Our shields were raised. No boarding craft could have penetrated them. Who said anything about a craft? Wei asked mildly. Captain Rice, perhaps you'd care to explain your methods to the War Commander. The view shifted to show a human female in black combat armor, her dark hair pulled back tightly from a face marked by determination and a hint of mischief in her eyes. Quantum displacement teleportation, she stated matter-of-factly. Your shields are designed to stop physical objects and energy weapons. They don't block targeted matter-energy conversion. She shrugged casually. An oversight in your defensive systems we've been aware of for some time. Krall's mandibles clicked rapidly in agitation, a sign of extreme distress among his species. This technology, it cannot exist. Our scientists have proven that teleportation across shield barriers is theoretically impossible. Your scientists, Wei replied as the view returned to him, are working with incomplete information. War Commander, I ask again, withdraw your forces from Proxima Delta immediately. In that moment, Krall realized the true extent of the miscalculation the Dominion had made. Human technological capabilities had been severely underestimated. If they possessed functioning teleportation technology that could bypass shields, what other advancements might they have kept hidden? But pride and duty warred within him. To retreat without a fight would mean disgrace in the eyes of the Dominion Council. I cannot withdraw, he finally declared. The honor of the Vraxian Dominion demands that we stand our ground. Wei sighed softly. I expected as much. Very well. He made a small gesture with one hand, and the transmission ended. What followed was not the all-out assault Krall had expected. Instead, with surgical precision, the human fleet began systematically neutralizing the Vraxian ships one by one. Not destroying them, that would have been simpler to defend against, but disabling them in ways that rendered them combat ineffective. The Earth ships moved in formations that seemed to anticipate every Vraxian countermeasure. When Krall ordered his vessels to concentrate fire on the human flagship, they found their targeting systems mysteriously malfunctioning. When he attempted to launch fighter squadrons, their launch bays suffered power failures moments before deployment. And throughout it all, more infiltration teams like Rias were teleporting aboard key vessels, bypassing security systems that the Vraxians had always believed impenetrable, and neutralizing critical systems from within. 2 hours into the battle, half of the Vraxian fleet was dead in space, drifting helplessly with disabled engines and weapons. The remaining ships had formed a defensive perimeter around the command vessel, but their situation was clearly hopeless. On the bridge of his increasingly isolated flagship, War Commander Krall faced the bitter taste of defeat. How? He asked his sub-commander. How could we have been so wrong about their capabilities? Vex had no answer to offer. The intelligence failures were too fundamental, too complete to explain. The communication system chimed once more. Admiral Wei's face appeared on screen, as composed as ever despite the battle raging around him. War Commander, he said, enough of your ships have been disabled to make your position untenable. I am offering you one final opportunity to surrender before I am forced to take more drastic measures. Krall's pride rebelled at the thought of surrender, but he was a pragmatist at heart. And if I accept this offer, what terms do you propose? All Vraxian personnel will be allowed to transfer to your remaining operational vessels, Wei stated. You will withdraw from this system immediately and return to Vraxian space. Additionally, the Dominion will acknowledge human sovereignty over Proxima Delta and all currently established human colonies. In return, we will release your disabled ships once you have withdrawn beyond the system's edge. And if I refuse? Wei's expression remained unchanged, but something in his eyes hardened slightly. Then I will be forced to demonstrate capabilities that, I assure you, neither you nor the Dominion Council wishes to witness. The implied threat hung in the air between them. Krall had already seen enough of humanity's hidden capabilities to take the Admiral's warning seriously. Very well, he conceded finally. We will withdraw under the terms you have outlined. We nodded once. A wise decision. War Commander, we will transmit coordinates for your evacuation procedures. I suggest you begin immediately. As the transmission ended, Krall turned to his sub-commander. Implement the evacuation protocol. Transfer all personnel to the ships still under our control. War Commander, Vex ventured hesitantly. The Dominion Council will not react well to this development. Krall's mandibles clicked softly. No, they will not. But they need to understand what we are facing. These humans, they are not what we thought they were. He gazed out at the view screen, where the Earth fleet maintained its perfect formation, a silent testament to power held in disciplined reserve. They have been watching us, studying us, while showing us only what they wished us to see. A deception worthy of respect, Vex acknowledged. Indeed, Krull straightened his posture, and a lesson the Dominion would do well to heed. 3 days later, Administrator Keen stood in the observation deck of Proxima Delta's central hub once more. But now, instead of Vraxian warships, the view showed Earth Confederation vessels establishing a defensive perimeter around the colony. Repair crews were already at work restoring the damage from the brief but intense occupation. Beside him stood Admiral Wei and Captain Rice, both looking weary but satisfied with the operation's outcome. "I still can't believe you got here so quickly," Keen admitted. "When I sent that distress call, I honestly thought we'd be on our own for at least 2 weeks. Wei smiled slightly. That's exactly what the Vraxians were meant to believe as well. The illusion of isolation was Proxima Delta's greatest defense. "You mean we were bait?" Keen asked, raising an eyebrow. "Not exactly," Rise interjected. "More like the tripwire. We've been monitoring Vraxian expansion patterns for years. Our analysts predicted they would eventually target this system, so we prepared accordingly. The quantum relay network we established secretly around your colony allowed for near-instantaneous communication," Wei explained. "And the stealth monitoring posts we positioned throughout this sector gave us constant awareness of Vraxian movements." "And the fleet?" Keen pressed. "How did you assemble and deploy a response force so quickly?" Wei and Rise exchanged glances. "The 7th Fleet has been stationed just 3 light-years from here for the past 6 months," Wei revealed, hidden behind a quantum mirage projector that renders them completely invisible to conventional sensors. "You anticipated this attack," Keen realized. "All of it." "We prepared for the possibility," Wei corrected gently. "The Earth Confederation has no desire for war with the Vraxian Dominion or any other power. But neither will we allow our people to be conquered or displaced." Keen looked out at the stars, his perspective forever changed. "And now, the Vraxians know about our capabilities. They'll adapt their strategies. Some of them," Rise said with a hint of her characteristic mischief. "We showed them exactly what we wanted them to see, enough to make them reconsider their expansionist policies, but not everything we can do. This encounter has established a new equilibrium," Wei added. "The Vraxian Dominion now understands that humanity is not the soft, technologically inferior species they believed us to be. That knowledge alone will prevent countless future conflicts." Keen nodded slowly, understanding the deeper game that had been played. "So my colony was never truly at risk." "Oh, you were definitely at risk," Rice corrected him firmly. "Your resistance was crucial. If you hadn't held out as long as you did, implemented the defensive measures as effectively as you did, the outcome might have been very different." "Captain Rice is right," Wei agreed. "Strategic preparation only creates opportunity. It was the courage and resourcefulness of your people that made the difference." He extended his hand to Keen. "On behalf of the Earth Confederation, you have our gratitude, and our commitment that Proxima Delta will never stand alone again." As they shook hands, Keen gazed out at the Earth ships, visible guardians now of what had once appeared to be an isolated outpost. Beyond them, he knew, were other forces, hidden from view, but no less present, a silent vanguard that had always been there, watching and waiting. The Vraxians had made a critical error. They had mistaken patience for weakness, preparation for vulnerability. They had believed that distance meant isolation, that humanity's apparent technological limitations were the full measure of their capabilities. Most importantly, they had failed to understand a fundamental truth about the species they had chosen to confront. Humans never truly stood alone. From the greatest cities of Earth to the farthest mining colony at the edge of explored space, humanity moved as one. An extended family that might bicker and struggle amongst themselves, but would always unite against an outside threat. And now, as news of the confrontation at Proxima Delta spread throughout the galaxy, other powers would take note. The humans were not the soft, divided species many had assumed them to be. Behind their diplomatic overtures and trade agreements lay a steel that few had suspected, and capabilities that had been deliberately underplayed. The message was clear: underestimate humanity at your peril. In the vast darkness between the stars, the balance of power had shifted, not with a grand declaration or a devastating war, but with a single, perfectly executed response to aggression. A demonstration of force so precise, so controlled, that it spoke volumes about what remained unshown. They had thought no one would come. They had been wrong.